Let's talk a little bit about what can we do. What are the strategies, some of the strategies that we are going to use to manage this stressful situation and actually use this COVID as an opportunity rather than always thinking of it as a challenge, as a burden, which it is, I understand. But we have to be positive about it. Like Marine said, change it. Yes, change the perspective. So, can you talk about one of the strategies that we discussed, Humera?
Yeah, like how I think a lot of our viewers have also mentioned about self-care. So I think that's one of the things is like scheduling a break for yourself, making time for yourself, just taking up a few minutes just to relax, unwind, be alone. You don't have to be with someone constantly the entire day, even though you guys are together. So I feel like a lot of viewers really appreciate that self-care and self-love.
Absolutely. It is very important for you to maintain your individuality amongst this whole chaos that we have around us. And now, people are very resilient. I am so proud of, human race. We are resilient. We adapt and we mold ourselves, so people have actually adapted to this new norm that we have. So you said time management, taking some time off for yourself, being by yourself, maybe spending some quality time with your significant other, doing something that you guys enjoy. Because you guys are together all the time, you need some time apart doing something that you enjoy. Another thing that I do want to talk about is that is going to be a very major factor in maintaining a healthy relationship is going to be communication.
Yeah.
So, a lot of times communication, Humera, fails. Communication fails when we have excess of criticism,
Exactly.
rejection, lack of support from our significant other. We feel burdened, or we feel like we have unreasonable demands on us, or somebody is just being there to annoy us instead of being a support for us.
Right.
So if you are a partner to someone, don't be extra critical of them. Don't reject them. Be supportive of them. These are some of the things that will help improve your communications failures, if you're having any.
Yeah.
Or I don't like the word failure, communication challenges.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think can you add something on to that, Humera, for sure?
I mean, just like the points that you mentioned, I definitely agree with those. You cannot criticize and rejection, like avoiding and not, being, how do you say it, not being there for someone or not being supportive. It's a really big factor. So, what other reasons why we fail in communication? I would say like listening to respond, not listening to
Absolutely.
understand. I feel like
that's a very good one.
Yes, and like this defensiveness, like when you communicate, you can't become defensive. You have to understand the person that you're communicating with is your significant other. They're there to hopefully, bring the better out in you and not to kind of put you down. So taking things in and understanding it and not being defensive over it.
Yeah. So
For
the thing is, and also talking about developing communication, talking about the problems when you are not in the heated argument, when you are actually in a nice place, talking proactively about your issues when you have a nice atmosphere going on, not while you're in a heated argument. We wanted to talk about, and Humera and I thought that rules of engagement of communication is so important. Rules of engagement, guys. You cannot be going back and forth. That is not how we develop a good, healthy communication. Humera and I discussed a few points, and we will bring that forward to you. Please do tell us, how well do you communicate with your significant other? First of all, when you want to develop good communication skill with your partner, rules of engagement is important. Number one, using active listening. Active listening, meaning you listen to the other person, allow other person without interruption, listen to them, and then give them 90 seconds or 120 seconds and listen to them without interruption. That is the rule. And then reflect back. Okay, what I hear you say is this. So we don't have a miscommunication, misunderstanding. You can take this further, Homera. What do you think?
Yes, I also think like planning ahead to address an issue. You know, we're together. We know what our main issues may be as a couple, to kind of know what the issues are and plan ahead before the matters escalate. So instead of having them blow up in our face, to kind of sit down and talk about them before that happens. I know you mentioned earlier before when we were speaking about using I statements. So don't speak for someone else. Don't assume that you know what someone's thinking or saying. If you have an issue or a problem, you know, speak for a minute in your point of view on your behalf, like making I statements that I feel this way when you do this. Not just badgering someone and attacking someone when you communicate.
Absolutely. The I statements, I feel when you don't do the dishes, I feel a little overburdened. Not saying you never do the dishes. Instead of saying that, you can say, I feel this way. When you say you don't do this, I'm attacking you. And all of a sudden, what are you going to do? You're going to close up. You're going to become defensive. Yes, absolutely. So the first thing we talked about is active listening. We talked about I statements, and we are going to talk about if you feel the situation is escalating, heated arguments is about to happen, take 10 minutes. Take 10 minutes.
I feel like in my relationship, sometimes, even with like relationship with my siblings or my brothers, I feel like when you're kind of in the heated argument, you're getting angry, you kind of want to, in anger, you want to say things and you're there, but it's better to kind of walk away from the situation so you can calm yourself down and kind of rethink everything and then approach it in a more respectful way. And you're not kind of, getting into a heated, crazy conversation where it just keeps escalating and it becomes worse. So taking a break is very important. And I feel like some people think of taking a break as in like, oh, we're dismissing the issue. I mean, it's not really dismissing an issue. It's just revisiting it at a different time when we both can kind of be level-headed maybe. And sometimes that's hard for people to do, actually, to take that break because you want to say everything at that moment. But it's really helpful if you try it.
Yes, absolutely. I want to ask our listeners, how do you communicate well with your partner? We talked about, using I statements. We talked about, reflecting, allowing the other person to speak and listening at that time. We talked about maybe taking a break when you feel like things are escalating and getting out of control, revisiting it. Yes, this is a very important, anger, actually, I want to mention this. Anger is an important emotion, important human emotion. We don't want to just dismiss anger. It's okay to feel angry, but it's how you come across when you're angry, how you manage your anger,
Exactly.
You acknowledge it and take your 10 minutes, walk away, come back, revisit. Mary is saying patience. Yes.
Patience is a big key in the rule of life. I live by patience. It's like the most important thing for me, but it's a really hard thing to conquer, I feel. It's something that you have to really learn within. But patience, if you have patience, it's like the communication, everything, the world, like the life of life is just more calm and relaxed, I feel.
Absolutely. Being mindful is important, and patience, I think, is a very big quality to have. It's a major quality to have. Not everybody has it, but let me tell you, every thought that crosses your mind, you don't have to act on it. Be patient, take your time, come back. That's a very powerful thing to do. Stepping back and then revisiting. Okay. Marine is
also said, humor works for me in every situation. It diffuses anger, to use humor. And, when she says that, I actually feel like, also like knowing your partner, because you kind of know what gets someone angry or what kind of calms someone down too. So I feel like being mindful of each other's personalities and trying to diffuse a situation by using your skills of knowing each other and knowing what works for each other, I think that's very important if you kind of understand each other's communication styles or communication like challenges, like you said, and knowing each other's challenges, kind of working around that. And maybe if humor works better for your partner, maybe say that to lighten them up, So it's about like knowing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You are absolutely right, Humera. I agree with you. I mean, it can be challenging to be humorous in this situation, but hey, we have to laugh at we have to laugh at these times. These are very critical, challenging times. We have to laugh, we have to have humor, we have to fun, and because children are watching us, and we have to set up a good example.
And I think that's the main thing for me, kids, because I feel like my siblings have a lot of kids, and I have a lot of nieces and nephews, and I feel like they listen to everything and they notice everything and they pick up with everything. So it's kind of like in a relationship, it's whatever you're showing and showcasing, your children pick up on that and they kind of learn from it. So it's very important, I think, very, very important when you have kids to be very mindful about how you're speaking and communicating in front of them, because you're leading by example. And that's a big thing. It's a kid that you're kind of raising to be, a better human being. So they have to learn.
Yes, they're watching you and they're soaking it all up. They're soaking it all up for sure. So far we have talked about time management. We have talked about communication skills, and under communication we talked about using I statements, reflecting with your partner, having respect when they're talking, not interrupting them, taking 10 minutes, 10 seconds, 10 minutes. Oh, 10 minutes, not 10 seconds, 10 minutes if you're if you're feeling angry, if they have done something ridiculous, to give them 10 minutes and then come back, don't abandon it, give it 10 minutes, and then come back. So also we talked about certain things that we should avoid, certain things that can actually kill your communication. Homera, we talked about this. Number one being criticism, attacking the person. The other person is just going to close up. They are not going to listen to you anymore once you start criticizing them. Can you go to the next one? What's the next one?
Just to add a little pointer, I feel like people shut down at criticism because it's not a very encouraging thing. So in relationships, when you're criticizing someone that's supposed to be the one to uplift you, it kind of really discourages you and it disturbs your communication for sure. The other one that we talked about was contempt. That's kind of like being insulting to one another, disrespecting each other, belittling you, putting you down, like in a really, really negative way. So that's
absolutely
worse than criticism.
The thing is, Humera, in a relationship, we're supposed to help nurture each other, help each other grow. How do you expect someone to grow when you are always shutting them down, always criticizing them, making them feel bad about who they are? How do you expect them to grow, So it's, and criticism, constructive criticism can be given in a very positive way. There's other ways of offering your suggestion, how you can help your partner too, for sure. But using harsh words, belittling them, making them feel bad about who they are is not the way to go. Another relationship killer is stonewalling. Stonewalling is an important one. What happens is when you criticize, the other person has become what? Defensive.
Yes. They shut down. Shut down, and they have no response, or they're silent. They're just stonewalling, like you just said, just no response, nothing. It's like you're numb to the situation, and you don't want someone to be numb either. I mean, sometimes it's not good to yell and scream, but that numbing feeling, I feel like, is just the opposite, and it's so much more internal. Like hurt.
And the thing is, why would you want to do that to your loved one? Somebody that you promise to love and and cherish and help them grow. Why would you want to shut them down? I think you have some problem with your connection, Humera. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear
you. Your video paused.
Okay, it looks fine from my end. I don't know if it's my connection. Okay.
Yeah, your video is pausing. Okay. Hi, everybody. Hello. Thank you so much for joining us today. Okay, it's still a little blurry, Humera. Maybe you can shift around a little bit. I think it is your
Okay,
connection.
let me see. I feel like for me, I can see everything. I can see you, but it might be you seeing mine. Let's
Okay,
see.
perhaps. Yeah. Now this is better. This is better, but still fading. Still fading out. Yeah. There we go. There we go. We got you.
Okay,
We got you.
perfect.
Hello there.
Sorry about
Hello,
that, guys.
everybody. Thank you. No, it's okay. Thank you for joining in today. We are talking about relationships. We're talking about how to make your relationship stronger, healthier, more communication, more talking, more laughing, more
Yes.
respecting each other, more helping each other grow. So we were talking
Keep in
about the
mind, it's about coronavirus, to be in the coronavirus pandemic, and how we're all, confined in one place, in one area, and how we're forced to be next to each other 24/7, which could be good. Like, that's what we want to make it seem like, and it could be bad. So it's more about like relationship issues with the coronavirus that's been going on.
Absolutely. We are in very extraordinary circumstances right now, Humera. And we talked about what are the killers for communication, criticism, contempt, putting each other down, being defensive, not listening, making excuses for bad behavior, and then stonewalling. What happens is when you keep attacking someone, the other person just shuts down and they don't want to listen to you. They don't want anything to do with you. And it's a very painful thing for a partner to do that, but perhaps you have criticized them so much that they don't have anything to say to you.
Yes. And when
Yeah,
someone stops talking and someone stops caring, I feel like that hurts a person more when you're not getting any response back. It's like kind of like saying, I'm giving up. Like, I don't even have anything to say. I don't even want to engage in any type of, conflict or conversation with you. And I feel like that just shows that, okay, this is it.
Yeah. And I want to take a moment and welcome everybody to the forum tonight. Humera is joining us. She's also a therapist. And we are talking about COVID strategies for relationship rescue. And we are giving you some strategies so you can use them in your relationship. Would you like to read that comment perfectly?
Sure.
And perfectly?
Let me see. I don't know if it's since my thing got connection was bad. The last one I see is S. Baudu joined. I didn't see anything after that. Is there anything after that?
Yes. Perfectly Imperfectly is saying, let's see, what is she saying? Hello there. People actually have time during COVID to work on the relationship. Life otherwise is so hectic. Absolutely. That is hitting on the nail. Like I was saying, this is an opportunity. Get to know each other. You are working through problems together. You're making decisions, major decisions. Get to know each other. You have the luxury of time. We were always saying, I don't have time for this. I don't have time for that. You have time now to get to know each other.
I feel like this is the only time that you can get to work with somebody in a relationship. It's the only time where you can actually communicate and figure things out, because you have all the time in the world to be with each other, So it's like you were saying earlier too, don't look at it in a negative way. Try to look at it in a positive way to have this pandemic, and not kind of dwell upon the bad, just kind of reinforce the good and work on it in that way.
And I'll tell you something, Humera. Everything, according to psychology, our human mind works in loops, and everything takes practice. When you start practicing certain behaviors, there are new pathways developed in your mind, in your brain, actually scientifically. So you have to practice certain behaviors for them to become second nature to you. You might be an impulsive person who gets really angry and snaps back real quickly. So what you have to do is take those 10 minutes, walk away, and come back. And then every time, practice it. Every time you talk to your partner, talk to them in a purposeful manner, that I'm going to keep respect, boundaries, communication in mind. Those are the three keys. And affection, of course. Affection is, if you're not affectionate towards each other, then I don't see the point of the relationship,
Yeah, I know. That's the main thing. I feel like, to get that intimate affection, you kind of yearn for that from your partner. That's something that you kind of like want. We're loving individuals. Human beings are just social individuals, and loving beings that they need that affection to kind of even like go forward. But if you don't have that affection or that validation from somebody, you kind of, you know, again, are not happy. You don't want to communicate. You don't want to put any effort into it. So, like you said, like you have to work together, and it's a lifestyle. It's something that you have to practice and condition and make it a lifestyle, not just like a chore. It's not something that you
Right.
do just to make a relationship work. I think it should be internal personality where you kind of develop to make that your lifestyle as a human being. You know,
Yes.
if you think of it
And
that way.
yes, and I mean, your intimate relationship with your partner is a very unique relationship. You don't have that with other people. The affection that you two both have, you cannot get it from other people. So it's very important to nurture that. At the end of this, I'm going to say, we talked about what are the killers of communication, but let me tell you, good old compromise. Good old compromise still works. You
Yeah.
both feel heard, you both feel respected, and you come to a middle ground, and then you say, okay, this is how we're going to do it. So compromise, I know, is a cliche, but it doesn't get old. It is necessary in any relationship.
Of course. I think like agreeing to one thing and just, sitting down together and giving that time to each other where you kind of can say, let's do this or let's do that, and coming to an agreement and compromising. You may not like it, maybe your partner likes it more than the other, but then you compromise on something else. So it's kind of like both of your sides are being heard, and you're taking each person's little hiccup into consideration and kind of like going, okay, let's agree on this together. That's your point of view. So in this aspect, my point of view is this. So let's go to my point of view. So it's kind of like
Right.
sharing.
Yes. No, good old compromise. You both feel heard, you both feel respected, you meet at the middle ground. That's very important. And, maybe you will get something done. After
Yeah.
you've talked about it, maybe you will come to an agreement and then stick to it.